Hi guys and welcome back to the channel. Today I've got the on-track series video for the German Tier 10 medium tank, the Leopard 1. Now as always, if you haven't seen any of the on-track videos before, what we'll do is we'll get an ace tank kit in every tank up the line, up to the Leo 1. You get to see how each of the tanks progresses and plays in their perfect state, and you'll get to see what they are capable of pretty much. And you are seeing the medium branch up to the Leopard 1 as well, because if you didn't know, you can grind the Leopard 1 through two different ways. You can grind it through the light tank line or this medium tank line. Well, since it's a medium tank, I'm going to try and save repetition in these on-track series videos. And when I do the on-track series for the Rheinmetall Panzerwagen, for instance, you'll see the whole light tank line, because that's the only way you can get to that tank. Whereas, like I said, the Leopard 1, you can go through either the SP1C and unlock the Indien Panzer and go up that way, or you can unlock the Leopard PTA from the HWK-12. So I thought I'd show you the medium tank line, since this is a medium tank, and like I said, just to save on that repetition. On the whole, this line is a pretty nice line. I enjoyed playing this line to get you this on-track series video, because I never actually played this tank that you're seeing now. I think I've only played 2 or 3 games in it. I never played the 3001D or the 3002D, because I went through the light tank line originally. And honestly, the light tank line is a lot of fun. It's a great little line. It was a lot better back in the day, which is where I went through it, because like the SP1C was really good and that sort of thing. But I mean, it's not bad now. But yeah, this medium tank line's not been too bad. Like this Panzer 3-4 that you're seeing now was a pretty enjoyable thing for me. I think I say I played 2 games. I think I played 3 or 4 actually. And the 3 or 4 that I had were pretty good games. And you can tell it's a decently capable Tier 5 medium tank, right? Because it's got a little bit of troll. It's not got obviously armor at all, really, but it's got troll armor that can just ricochet things off the upper plate because of the calibers of the guns at the tier and stuff like that. It's got a good rate of fire with this gun. And like I say, it's decently mobile, so it's pretty decent to play on the whole. In terms of equipment, I ran rammer, vents and optics, and that's pretty much going to be kind of a constant through the line, because up until the point where you can use vert stabs, there's only one tank that'll actually use vert stabs on in this entire line. So in terms of the crew, which is a crew that I ran through all the way out, which is Brothers in Arms, or Born Leader now as it's called, Rapid Loading, Track Mechanic, Sixth Sense, Situational Awareness, Camo Expertise, Steady Aim, Run and Gun, and Muffled Shot, sorry. Now I run the camo perks because this line is actually kind of stealthy for the most part, especially when you get towards the tier 9 and 10. So maximising the camo of this line can be very effective and very, very nice indeed. So that's why I run that. So you see in this Panzer 3-4 video game, whatever it's called, we've had a little run around there. We kind of got lucky that the 88 didn't kill us there, but what I was trying to do was put him off, because obviously the 88 doesn't have the best track traverse, and I was trying to free aim his tracks so that I could track him in place, stop him from traversing to shoot me, and that's what we ended up doing, and then just get away from his gun. And luckily enough, he got finished off before he could kill me. And now we're going after the last medium tank. Our team is intent on cap, and we've pretty much got everyone in the cap. So we've only got a limited time frame with which to go find this guy. And I'm thinking, I'm pretty sure he was spotted back here at some point when the fighting was going off. But it's at that point where he could have got anywhere, really. And we're just hoping beyond hope that we'll be even able to get anywhere near the guy. And unfortunately, we capped out to win. But I mean, at the end of the day, if I found that guy, I probably got one more shot in and then died myself. He's probably hiding in that little hidey hole. So, we finished that game with 5 kills, 1900 damage, 1208 assistance, ace tanker, high caliber, 1964 base XP, because we were facing some tier 6s there. It wasn't the best matchmaking in the universe for the tank, so that was a pretty nice game to have for it. And yeah, I mean, it wasn't a bad tank actually, to be honest. I remember looking at it thinking, that tank's not going to be great, and then actually it was alright. And this is another tank that I think I underestimated a little bit, and I've played it quite a few times, and it was like, actually, this tank's pretty fun. It's got you know, it goes quickly. It goes up to 60 kilometers an hour. It's, you know, it's pretty nippy. It's got auto ricochet angles on its hull, like the way it's angled. You just pull off crazy bounces at times, and you sit there going, right then. You've got about 8 degrees of gun depression, which is nice. And the actual gun itself is a very nice gun. It's got a good rate of fire. It's got good pen. You've got to aim better than that, though. And yeah, it's a very nice gun. I mean, it's the same gun that's on the VK3002M, which is the real Panther. Because if you didn't know, the 3002M is actually what the production Panther is, compared to actually with the Panther in the game at Tier 7, which was like the, I don't know, I think it was like a prototype or something like that. Or what they planned for it to be anyway. But yeah, this is the same gun that's on that tank. And that tank's really fun in itself. That's a very good Tier 6. So this is actually not that bad. I always looked at it and thought, nah, that's not going to be that great, is it? But actually, you know, I really enjoyed playing through it. Because what I did is basically just ground through the Tier 5 and the Tier 6 to unlock the tier, you know, to unlock the next tier, because I'd never played through them. And just, I enjoyed the experience, generally. So this 3001D is, like I say, decently mobile with that good gun, which means you can really just keep flanking and spanking, really, because you can just keep moving about to different flanks, get the gun working, keep firing. 3.1 second reload without the food boost is really nice. You don't really ever have to worry about the penetration as well, because it's got like 150 odd standard pen, and it's got about 194 on the premium, which means that for everything that you're ever going to face, pretty much means that you're just going to be able to pen it. It's not really going to struggle in that way, which is nice. So we're on Fisherman's Bay, anyway, and we're just flitting about on this mid-ridge, trying to keep our gun going, trying to put the hurt into these enemies, trying to stop them flanking our guys in the town. We've caught out this KV-85, he doesn't know what's going off. We've managed to finish off. I was trying to be honest, I was hoping there that the KV-85 would burn to death and then I get to shoot the MT-25, but he didn't actually burn to death. He ended up just about surviving. So we ended up finishing off the KV-85, get a nice shot into the MT-25 blind, and I can't quite spot a guy, but there we go, he gets lit up. We get a nice shot into him there. He's actually coming around on the wrong side of the building. Unfortunately, that one misses, I'm not quite sure how, but we finish off the MT-25. And there's still quite a lot of tanks left in this game. I think a lot of them are on the 1-2, because a lot of our team is at H1, sitting on the little campy spot. They've pushed quite aggressively down there, but I want to try and help my guys get through this town and try and flank. And here we go, we're actually spotting a couple of people that first time spotted in the town. We get a nice shot into the Death Toaster, and he doesn't pull back, which is a misplay for him, because we actually finish him off. He should have pulled back there around the corner, but he didn't do it. We aim for the tracks on the T1 Heavy. We end up tracking him, and here we're going to side scrape out to try and ricochet a shot off of the, like I say, the good ricochet angles. But you never know. If I just sit here like this, he might pen me, which he doesn't. He ends up ricocheting, just because he could randomly hit my turret front, which is obviously not that great. But there you go, that's why you side scraping stuff as well, because that guy could have penned me if I just sat where I was out in the open, but because I side scraped out, he managed to ricochet. You always want to try that sort of thing, even if you've got a tank that's, like I say, not the best armoured, but we do have the angles for which we could bounce. So we're going to move in on this KV-1 now and try and finish him off. We're just going to circle around and we'll get one shot into his back, set him on fire, finish him off. We actually got smacked from something at the back. That was like a 300 hit. That's painful. I'm trying to work out what that could be, and I think it's a Hellcat 105 that was sat at the back unspotted. He gave us a royally good shellacking, and yeah, it means I've got to be really careful now with what I do. Because I had the hit points, right? With 400 hit points, I could have probably pushed very aggressively to get a good amount of spots. But I've just got to play it a little bit more carefully. I'm pinging the area on the map at A5 to where I think the Hellcat 105 could be, but the Hellcat 105 is a quick tank. He could have got out of that position very easily now, and he's got the stealth right. So he probably is more up in the corner at A2, A3. But you see, I've got to be really cautious, because any tank in this game will now kill me. So it's just playing that waiting game, and I'm just waiting basically for my heavy tanks to move up, And really, they're going to be the sponge, because what I've got to wait for that now is for them to move up, get spotted, and start to be drawing the focus and the fire, basically. Because if I was to just drive across the open now and they're not spotted, I'd be spotted the instant I moved, and then get absolutely whacked. So what I've done is actually boost the food now, and I'm trying to move into the bushes and stuff, because obviously if I boost the food I get better view range, because you get that extra boost from, I think it's an extra 15% boost from the food itself. So I boost that to try and see if I can spot out. I'll destroy the building so that hopefully if anything fires I might be able to see through it. But nothing's getting lit up, and I'm trying to see if there's any shots coming in. I'm just not seeing it. And I'm thinking, you know what, they might be hidden in the buildings. I'm going. I kind of wish I had the food boost now to be able to outspot anything. But we're off. I've decided that's it. I'm not waiting around anymore. I'm bored of waiting. And we're going to go spot. We spot the SE-100. Trying to hit him on the move. We've actually spotted the TD on the left as well. Although I'm so focused on this SE-100 that I haven't actually quite noticed it yet. There's the Hellcat 105. I'm thinking, crap, I'm dead. Fortunately enough for me, he misses. But we're going to finish this guy off with a little ram. And there's just the Achilles just over the hill. And I'm hoping I'll get there. But the Skoda T25, which is a ridiculously good tank, finishes him off. And we'll finish that game with a very nice tally. Finish with the victory. We come top. Finish with 6 kills, 3.7k damage, nearly 2.5k base XP, and 1,033 assisted, which is a really good game for this tier 6 tank. We finished with an ace tanker, top gun, high caliber, scout medal. Yeah, this tank honestly was pretty damn fun, and it's one that I think people will enjoy. And I think this line, in terms of the medium weight up to the Leopard PTA and the Leopard 1, is probably underestimated, like myself, and probably disregarded a little bit. And that's purely because you can just skip it by going up the light tank line, which is what a lot of people do. So you don't see these tanks all that often. So now we're on the VK 3002D, which is the tier 7. And this tank has the option of 3 guns. One that's a meme gun that is not that great on the tank, but I'm going to be running it anyway because it's a meme, right? It's a dirt gun. So you've got the 105mm gun that you can equip on the Panther, you can equip on the VK 3001P, on the Panzer 4H, for example. You can run that gun, but it's not very competitive, and I wouldn't recommend it if you're not memeing, right? So I'm going to be running it to meme anyway. You've got the same gun that you had on the 3001D, which is the 75mm, with 150 pen, 194 APCR pen. And you've got this short 88 with about the same pen, actually, to be fair. The pen isn't too much different on this short 88 compared to the other gun, because reasons. So you've got the short 88, which actually has 145 pen and 194 premium pen. So you only lose 5 pen on this short 88 compared to the 75mm. And yeah, I think the gun choices let this tank down a little bit for the tier, because this gun has really good DPM, right? It's got 220 alpha, it's really nice, but the pen does let it down a little bit. The mobility's nice. Like I said, the angling on the arm is quite nice. In this game, I just switched to the short 88, which meant that I actually forgot to put any more premium ammo in, which can be helpful if you're bottom tier. In this matchup, I don't really need it all too much. But yeah, honestly, the premium rounds, the standard pen, when you get tier 9 games, it's really just not enough. You consider being a Panther and you've got 198 odd pen and 240 odd pen on your premium rounds, and so many other tanks at the tier that have around 200 pen. The pen on this gun is a little bit of a letdown generally at times, I found, for the tier anyway. It's basically a tier 6 gun at tier 7. I think that's probably something that does let this tank down, just like I say, just a little bit. But the rate of fire, 4.7 seconds for 220, is pretty dank. It's very, very nice. So when you're allowed to let the gun keep firing, it's great. So we're on El Halouf, and we basically just blitzed through their northern end. They didn't really send too much up that way, so we managed to crush that with the help of our team, and now we're rushing into their base. They've still got quite a few tanks left alive, and I'm thinking, where are they? They must be up north. And then we come across this T-28. And it's like, well, that T-28 is something I'm not going to pen unless I get its side, because I'm just not. I'm being detected here, and I'm thinking there's possibly something in those bushes, so I'm just popping blind shots. And there you go. We actually blind fire a T-20 that's sat in the bush. That was one of those moments where I poked around the corner and it was like, I'm being detected. That can't have been the T-28. There's got to be something over there. Unfortunately enough, our blind fire paid off. This T-28 fires, and I'm like, you know what, I'm not going to pen this guy. So we're going to get around him and shoot him in the side. It was one of those things. There was no point sitting in front of that T-28. We're never going to pen the cupola, and we're never going to pen it from the front with the 145 pen. We have to get the side. So as soon as he's fired, it was time to flank round. So now he is gone. There's actually these heavy tanks here, and I kind of see. There's the auto ricochet angles you get when we pulled back round that corner quick enough there to ricochet that 122mm round from the ISM. And when we pulled round that corner, I actually thought I was going to bounce on the ISM, but he's randomly sitting with his ass hanging in the breeze, giving us all nice free shots. We finish off the ISM. Kind of hoping I might get shot into the T-32, but I don't quite get there. So now there's just the light tank that's marauding our base and this Leo. Auto aim was shot into the Leo, because you never miss these days with auto aim. Finish him off, and we're going to try and charge down towards our base to hopefully get a kill on this light tank. The LHMTV kills the equalizer, which is good. He's doing God's work, right? But I'm looking at this going, you know, I'm never going to get there, because he's up there. He's a light tank, right? He can run around however much he wants, and I'm anticipating actually with the way he sort of changed direction a little bit on the mini map that he might come out this way and try and yellow down. So I'm just hoping beyond hope that again that we'll be able to get shots before we cap out. But we do cap out, and I suppose it's a victory in the game. But it was a really nice game for this tank. And like I said, it showed what it can do when this gun is allowed to work and you're allowed to run. Which is the better of the two guns? I'm not quite sure. It's down to personal preference myself. But that's just the way it is. So we finished with 5 kills, 4k damage, 570 assistance, ace tanker, high caliber, 2.1k base. A nice game for the VK3002D at tier 7 in what was a tier 8 game as well. So we did pretty nicely there without having any premium rounds to munch into. So we're on to the tier 8 and we're on the Indien Panzer. And this is a tank, it's got 0.34 accuracy, right? Because the other tanks had 0.35 and 0.38, I think, with the short 88. The accuracy on this gun is 0.34 on this 90mm gun. It's actually a 9cm gun. And I actually found that without vert stabs, it could miss and derp a couple of shots here and there, and it was a bit irritating at times. So, because normally, I think it's probably the soft stats that hurt it a little bit. Because normally with 0.34, I'd say below 0.35 accuracy, you can probably think about dropping vert stabs in post 6.0 world and run the crew skills that make the gun better, and therefore, you know, the gun will be great. But I think the soft stats on the Indien Panzer have hurt it a little bit, because even with when I didn't have the vert stabs, the gun didn't feel that great. But with the vert stabs, the gun feels fantastic. So I run rammer, vert stabs, and optics. Obviously, you want to run optics because you want to boost your view range as much as possible in this World of Tanks world. And rammer for the DPM and the vert stabs, like I say, just to make the gun just hit those shots a little bit more and keep up with the World of 6.0 accuracy. The Indien Panzer is actually a pretty nice tank. Again, it's another one that I underestimated. The reload on it's pretty nice. The gun on it's pretty nice when you've got the vert stabs on it. The pen's good with like 212. And on the whole, it was a pretty enjoyable experience. And obviously, with the premium APCR as well, you've got like 259 pen. When you're facing those tier 10s, the 259 pen is going to be enough. It's a pretty decent tank. It's got decent mobility, and the armour on it's not great, but again, it's one of those that just randomly bounces shots. It's weird, because this medium line is one of those that randomly bounces shots that it probably shouldn't. Quite a lot, up until you get up to the PTA and the Leopard 1, which have no armour. So it's just one of those things. So we're on Kaunas, and we have pushed very aggressively down this 6-7 line. We spotted the tanks going across, and there wasn't too many actually that went across. And we killed tanks like this skull cap and that were spotted going across. And now we decided, me and Swindle, that it was like, okay, let's just push this King Tiger and VK, and now we're just putting the hurt to them. We managed to pen the Tiger 2 there, or the King Tiger, but unfortunately don't track it. We get another shot into his lower plate, and he's fired now, so it's time to go. I'm being mindful of Swindle, who's got his clip ready to fire. He manages to put 2 in. I'm hopefully going to put another one into this guy's lower plate. We break his engine, he fires again. I know that I've got the reload on this guy, and we're going to finish him off. Or maybe not, because we're going to low roll like mad. And we're going to leave him on 72 health. Finish him off that time. And now there's just the VK 4502A. We put a nice shot into him again. We roll for 200, which means we low roll and don't kill him. But now there's a tank in our base, which I'm pretty confident is going to die. But we've got a lot of their tanks in the middle, so I'm going to go back up through this middle area here to get shots into the back of them, because they're currently preoccupied with the tanks in front of them, which is a heavy and a medium. So they're not going to expect me to come up behind them in these bushes here and shoot them in the ass. There isn't a Mill 1 though here, which I'm not going to take any chances. I'm going to pop some shots at him while I'm behind this cover, because this is where the muffled shot and the camo expertise come into play, because the Indien Panzer doesn't have the greatest of camo in the world, unlike a lot of the other tanks in the line. But the muffled shot and the camouflage expertise actually make it so that when I was firing through that concealment, that Mill 1 couldn't see me. Now obviously the Mill 1 doesn't have the best view range either, so that also helps. So we're going to try and get some shots into this Chrysler. Unfortunately we end up bouncing, because the Chrysler's one of those that's an annoying one to pen. We finish off the Hurlenhund on the move, and again we're aiming at the lower plate of the Chrysler there. You need about 220 pen to reliably go through the lower plate of the Chrysler, especially when it's angled, which it is. It's kind of angled away from us. So we load the premium rounds to just go straight through this guy, because we're not messing around. And he's gone. Now there's just a heavy tank and a TD. The heavy tank's the Mill 1 that was around this corner. We get a nice shot through his upper plate, which is quite fortunate because the food disengaged at that moment. We get another shot into his side. I'm hoping he'll die before he kills me, because he's got one more, and we finish him off. There's just a TD left, and the artillery. Looking for a shot at this Jagdpanther 2. Hopefully we'll get one in. It's quite unlikely I'll pen him unless he turns sideways on like that. The shell actually flies over the top of the ridgeline. It looked like it dipped into the upper plate, which is odd. But we've, you know, nice pen on him anyway. And we finished that game off with a win. So we finished with a victory. And we finished with 3 kills, 4.6k damage, 790 assistance, ace tanker, high caliber, Confederate. Again, another really nice game for the tank. The Indien Panzer, honestly, is pretty damn enjoyable. 1900 base XP as well. Yeah, the Indien Panzer is pretty damn enjoyable. I found it to be quite nice on the whole. It's purely down to the gun being nice with decent DPM, and that sort of average mobility paired with armour that kind of does ricochet shots here and there. It's one of those that obviously, like, if you're going to be hull down, don't sit still, because your turret, again, isn't the best well armoured, but you can just pull off bounces on it if you keep yourself moving. So we're on to the tier 9, and again, in terms of equipment, I actually run rammer, optics and vents, because the gun on this is just schmexy. It's honestly beautiful. Same as the Leopard 1, the gun is just utterly fantastic. So it doesn't really need the help of the vert stabs. You want to try and boost the DPM view range and all that a little bit more with using the vents, and that's definitely what you want to be running. Now the PTA pre 6.0, I should say, I think this was the first time I actually played it post 6.0. Pre 6.0 was a tank that I was never really a fan of. Number one, the gun, for saying how accurate it is, just let me down quite often. And I wasn't a fan of the reload all that often, for saying how, and you know, generally the armour. The mobility's nice, but it always felt a little bit more sluggish. It's like the Leopard 1, for instance. Like, the Leopard 1 I loved. I wasn't a fan of the Leo PTA, but then I moved up to the Leopard 1 and I thought, oh, if the Leo 1's like the Leopard PTA, I'm not going to enjoy it. But the Leopard 1 like took the Leo PTA the Leo PTA's ability to like the next level, and it felt amazing and I loved it. So I don't know, I was always a little bit disappointed in this tank. Post 6.0, it's actually just even better, because obviously the reload's just that little bit nicer, the gun's that little bit nicer, because like I say, Pre 6.0, it trolled me. It felt like one of those troll tanks. You know, one of those tanks that had 0.32 accuracy, but it was like, yeah, you have you really though? Have you really? Because the amount of shots that just derp the floor. Yeah, but that's a post 6.0. It's all right because obviously the crew skills take away that sort of derpiness that it has. So we are on Arctic region, and it is Arctic region this time. Or is it Cliff? This might be Cliff, you know. Yeah, I think this is Cliff. Yeah. So yeah, anyway, Arctic region. And I'm in a very aggressive spot. And I've got shots for days at these guys. And again, this is where the camouflage expertise and the muffled shot will be helping me. Because if there's anything in range to spot me, well, these bushes and the muffled shot and that will help me a hell of a lot. Because my camo rating is not decreased, is helped by not decreasing 35% odd with the muffled shot, which is nice. So if there was anything within range to spot me, I would be nice and safe within these bushes, as long as I keep the bushes between me and them. So we've shut down the FE2 on 5B, and we've got shots at this waffle. Unfortunately, the waffle kind of pulled back, and I expected him to keep going like he is now, but he stopped. We've got shots at this E50, who has actually got the long... That gun looks really long, so I think he's stopped. But I'm now wary that I've got to pay attention to the heavies behind me and try and help this guy out. So I'm going to try and help this guy out, get some nice shots in. We get a nice shot into the Super Conqueror side. And yeah, again, like I say, we're trying to help out different sides here, because I've got Swindle on the other flank saying, oh, I've got this waffle spotted now, could you shoot that? And the guys, the heavy tanks behind me, right, aren't in a position at the minute for me to be able to do anything about it. They're going to be safe hull down. So what I'm going to do is change my position and get this shots into the griller and try and help Swindle progress his flank by killing the griller and getting shots into this Waffle Panzer 4. Because if they're moving, the quicker they move basically down that flank, the more chance we have of winning the flank behind me, because they'll come back and help. And just look at the free shots we've got in this position. It's great. We get a nice shot into the tracks of the E50 there to keep him pinned. And I'm just going to hopefully look for a shot here. This bush in front of me should keep me from getting spotted. And yeah, we have, with the DPM on this tank, we have got this guy screwed. But then this Waffle Panzer 4 is lit up in a great position for me to shoot him again. He's the next threat to Swindle, so we're helping him out here. Unfortunately, he shuts down Swindle. But he gets finished off. And I know that E50 is somewhere up there. And I'm trying to spot him up so I can try and kill him. But I've noticed that the heavies and that have now moved up into the open ground. They've moved into places that I can help my team out now. So I'm going to try and aim for a shot into the top little bar of the E100. We managed to pen it. We get shot in the back though by, I think it might have been the E50 actually firing HE there. We actually get shot in the back, but fortunately enough for me, it doesn't really do any damage because he fires HE. We load heat to go through the front of the turret of the E100 here, just to try and get rid of him, because we don't want to take a 750 splat from this guy. He turns his turret to faces, which means it's an easy pen, and then we switch back to the APCR. Now we've got the Super Conqueror. It's just a Conqueror in front of us. Super Conqueror, I think he's dead. Get a nice shot into his lower plate. He's now a one-shot for us with 353. I've got the hit points right, so I don't mind just driving out in front of him and taking a hit. But fortunately enough, he actually hasn't turned around. We finish off the Conqueror. We've now got the CS in the corner, which is a bit awkward because he's got a good rate of fire and a good gun. And with him in that position, it means he's just not going to let us go out to attack the guys that I've just looked at in the Death Star and the other heavy tank. He pokes up. We get a nice shot straight through his turret, snapped him. And I'm now thinking about what's next, right? I'm thinking I'm going to go for this mouse. So I've loaded heat because I'm like, I'm going for the mouse. I've got the hit points to take a hit or two from the CS, right? So we're going to get rid of him. We've got to get rid of this guy. So we get a shot through the mouse's turret front there with the heat. And we're going to go after this Death Star. And to be honest, I don't know why I haven't reloaded APCR there, because that heat could have screwed me over very badly against that Death Star when I had his side. But we got fortunate enough, it went straight through anyway. And unfortunately, we didn't manage to get the shot into the CS because our team capped. But we finished that with a victory. And We finished with 7 kills, 8.3, nearly 8.4k damage, 977 assisted. If we'd had the chance to kill that CS, we could have had a Radleys, but that's just the way the cookie crumbles at times. And it's been so long since I played this tank, we've actually dropped below 2 marks. So we've finished with the Ace Tanker, the High Caliber, the Devastator and Top Gun, and 9k combined, over 9k combined in the Leopard PTA, which was a very, very nice game for it. It was one of those games where you just get into one of those positions where you can just keep the gun firing, and you're just in a position to absolutely farm the enemy tanks up repeatedly, and it's great. So we're on to the pinnacle of the line, we're on to the top thing that you're all aiming for, and it's, you know, a tank that is honestly fantastic. I've always loved the PTA. Not the PTA, the Leopard 1, sorry. I've always loved the Leopard 1. I mean, it's still on track at the minute for you guys that are watching this video at the time of its release. I think it's on track for another 3 days at least. I'm sorry this video is a bit later, but these videos are obviously long. They take quite a bit of effort to put into it. And I wanted to get this CS, with the new line being the CS63, I wanted to get that line out first, which is what I did. So you are getting this at the end of the on-track grind, but there's still enough time to pick up this tank on discounts if you've already ground through it. There's still enough time to grind through the rest of the line or get a decent way up it over the weekend. So there is that. So the Leopard 1 is just a fantastic tank. It's got great mobility. It's got a fantastic gun. It's got good DPM. It's generally a very, very nice tank. It's also got very good camo, just like the PTA has. And that was something we exploited a little bit right there at the start, because we were sat in the bushes. We got some shots at the back chat and never got spotted, which was nice. But now I've decided, you know what, I'm just going to be aggressive. We didn't really spot anything going across, which was actually a lie, because a lot got across before we got there. We've YOLO'd down. The light tanks are coming in. It's like, right, okay, I'm just dealing with these light tanks. Pop a shot auto-aimed. I'm going to duck down into the rock cover over here so I don't get shot from the guys above. We'll get another shot into the batch at 12T. I'm hoping to finish this guy off. We've auto-aimed the shot straight in because he's straightened up. And now we can get some shots into these guys. We've got my friends on the other flank that are dealing with the heavy tanks. This M60 looks like he was going to come YOLO me, so I do track him. And fortunately for me, I actually have friends behind me who absolutely obliterate him, which is nice. And then we're going to poke up. We try and get a shot into the T30 without taking a shot in return, which we do, but we don't actually penetrate him. We actually only track him. And we've got this Brask in front of us, and it's kind of like, okay, I'll try and finish off this Brask. But then the Death Star comes over, and it's like, right, I'm going to try and track this Death Star. And unfortunately, the shot just goes to the right of where I was aiming and ends up only doing damage, which means this Death Star manages to get a massive shot into me. Does like 1200 damage or 1100 damage. He keeps repairing, but I've got friends behind me, so I'm just keeping him pinned. And unfortunately, as I actually tracked that guy then, he lost all of his health, which means that I actually could have just killed him rather than tracking him. But we managed to get a shot into the top of his turret anyway, finish him off. And we're going to poke up and see if we can get a shot into the back of that medium, but he dies as well. I'm being wary now, because obviously I've got no hit points. We're up to 2.7k damage, 2.8k assist, which is already a pretty nice game. And I'm just being wary, because obviously we know there's a T30 up on top of that hill. And that T30 will, well, he'll kill us very easily. I think that anything in this game will kill us. But I've just got to be wary of it. I've got to wait for my teammates to move up. But then we spot this, well, I say we spot, I think the WZ-11114 gets spotted on the bridge. And we track him without damaging him. I aimed for the back end of his tank there to hopefully track him. But unfortunately we end up not doing that. We can't quite get a shot at the Vanguard as he's crossing the hill. We get a shot into the tracks of the T-30. I don't actually think we ended up tracking him though, unfortunately, again. I was kind of hoping to track him in place and people would end up shooting him, but that's not the case. This T-30 pulls back, so I'm thinking it's kind of a bit more safe to pull up. I'm expecting this Vanguard to do Vanguard things and YOLO the heavy. He does. We finish him off. And now the T-30 is trying to get shots at the guys climbing up the hill, which means he's actually giving us shots into the side of his turret. We get a nice shot into that, because that is one thing this tank is good at, because we actually only really had a pixel shot at that guy's turret. And that pixel shot went straight in, which is something that the Leopard 1 is just so damn good at. If you've got the slimmest of shots in the universe to hit someone, you're going to hit it, because it's a beautiful, beautiful gun. It's like 0.23 accuracy with the crew skills, or 0.24. With the crew skills in and stuff like that, which is beautiful. Which is why I say you don't need vert stabs with this tank, because you've got 0.24 accuracy without the vert stabs. You just don't need the extra vert stab help. You need to buff everything else. So now there's only this artillery left in the game, and he's trying to do what artillery does and drown himself. Not today, Mr. Artillery. I don't care that I fudged you the kill. You're not killing yourself, buddy. And we kill out that artillery with style, because style points. So we finish that game with, when we get past the buggy MVP screen, 4 kills, 4.6k damage, 2.8k assist, ace tanker, sniper medal, high caliber, the eye for an eye because I killed the artillery and in the process killed myself. 1667 base XP. This is back from when the scoreboards and that were bugged. And a nice game for the Leopard 1. And yeah, the Leopard 1, it's a really good tank, honestly. I really do enjoy this thing. It's great to play, honestly. So we're on the second game for the Leopard 1, and we're on Abbey. And we're going to go ham and just take the Abbey, because that's just what you do. To be honest, I've taken the approach with Abbey, because I'm so sick of seeing it, that I'm just going to YOLO the middle. If I'm in a tank that's fast, obviously. If I'm going to tank this armor, I'll probably go the heavy tank route. But if I'm in something that's fast, like this Leopard, I'm going to take the Abbey. And if I die rushing the Abbey, so be it. I don't have to play Abbey anymore. And what was I saying earlier on about armor that randomly ricochets shots? We just ricocheted that 1390 there, and that really shouldn't have happened. No. Yeah. So anyway, we've taken the Abbey, and I get detected there as I pull up into the Abbey, which means there's something in their base, and I'm trying to spot what it is while I've still got the food boost, but no dice at the minute, nothing's getting lit up. But we're just trying to find the shots that could possibly be there in the base. Like I said, I'm pretty convinced, but I'm not getting lit here myself. With nothing getting lit up and quite a lot getting spotted on the 9-line, I'm thinking, I wonder if there is anything. So I'm going to try and get through. This is my great driving here. I don't... Right now we're experimenting pretty much, because I don't actually know if the Leopard is thin enough to get through the gaps. It looks like it could be quite you know, just enough. But my driving's not good enough to get through that gap, so we're just going to take the old route. So while I'm here, I'm going to reiterate the crew system, well, the crew skills I run on this tank, which is Born Leader, Rapid Loading, Trap Mechanic, Sixth Sense, Situational Awareness, Camouflage Expertise, Muffled Shot, Steady Aim and Run and Gun. Steady Aim and Run and Gun, obviously, because you want to make the gun as good as possible. And then the camo on this tank is fantastic. You can utilise it so often that it's nice to have the Muffled Shot and the Camouflage Expertise to make the most of it. So like I say, here we are. We have rushed into their base because nothing was getting detected and I was getting a bit bored. So I decided, you know what, I'm just going to rush their base and see what happens. We end up spotting 2 TDs for the first time, like this 268 version 5. He's YOLOing in, so I'm trying to avoid his gun. And he's actually made the mistake of being in a turreted TD, which has terrible traverse, and trying to YOLO a tank that's quite quick. And basically, he got past me before his gun could keep up with me. Or with him. One of the two. And, fortunately for him, and fortunately for me, and unfortunately for him, that meant he didn't get a shot in. We end up loading HE there for the Waffle Panzer IV. And unfortunately, the shot flew straight between his gun mantlet. Right in between the gun mantlet and his chassis, which meant he ended up missing me. Which meant that we could have died very easily there. Very, very easily. It was a very risky moment, but fortunate enough for me, he ended up derping his shell into the ground. The artillery misses us, so a healthy amount of luck there to survive. We are incredibly lucky to be alive at this point. But, you know, it is what it is. We got to take the rough with the smooth, right? This game can absolutely poop on you at times, and it can really feel like the game's really just taking a dump on you all the time. So when you have a game like this where the RNG goes with you, you'll take it. So I tried to track this Waffle Panzer IV on the move there, but unfortunately I didn't. I only penned him. And fortunately enough for me, I did exactly what I wanted to do, which is get underneath his gun line quick enough for him to not be able to get the gun down. And he ended up trying to rush the shot and he missed me. And me and Turkey are like, no, this guy's not going to try and YOLO a shot at us, is he? Yeah, of course he was. He tried to YOLO over to get a shot into us, realised quite how bad it was, loses his tank for it, and we ended up shutting down the Waffle Panzer 4 there. And we're up to 4k damage, 894 assisted. There's still quite a few tanks left. And we're not in the best of situations at the minute. This E100 gets spotted out, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I'm dead. You know, because at the end of the day, who doesn't snapshot on 6.0? Most people snapshot and will just end up killing you. We load the heat rounds. Unfortunately, end up bouncing on the front of the turret of the guy. We're going to try and finish him off with a heat round straight to the front. We do. And we switch back to APCR. We've got a shot at this WZ-111QL who's going for our artillery. He's doing God's work. God bless him. And we're going to hopefully try and finish him off. But he's dropped into the arty bowl, which means we're not going to get shots into him. We've got the T-30 that's now coming across where they spawn. Try and snap a shot into him. Unfortunately, we end up missing, though. And we're going to try and maneuver ourselves into a position where we might be able to get shots at him as he crosses into this open position. We get a little bit higher. Unfortunately, we end up missing again. It's just unfortunate that we missed the opportunity to shoot at him. If I'd stayed still there, I probably would have been able to get shots, but we didn't. And we are going to try and get a shot at this guy as he crosses the open. We end up getting one into him. Here we go, like I say, this is the camo, right? We're in bushes. We've got bushes between me and him. And we shut down the T-30. Now, there's only 3 heavies and a TD left. There is this King Tiger in front of Swindle in his CS63. There's another heavy just to the right. And I'm thinking, will I get a shot at this King Tiger? Probably not. You know what? I'm going to go and get shots at this Lurver instead, because Swindle's going to kill that King Tiger before I get anywhere near it. And I think I was saying at the time, I bet you anything that Tortoise is going to be around this corner at B2. So when I start to get shots at this Lurver, he's going to pop round and kill me. So fortunately enough for me at the minute, he's not there. We try and auto-aim a shot, which just aim, it's easier. We try and auto-aim a shot at the Lurver, and we end up ricocheting off his turret. There's the Tortoise. Fortunately enough, we managed to pull back behind where this rock is, and he ends up missing. And we're just going to show the sadness of the Tortoise's armour right now. We've got standard rounds in, which means that when he's facing us, we don't even need to hit the cupola. We can just hit his little machine gun port on the side and reliably pen it. And we're trying to get shots into him, but unfortunately he just pulls back around the corner enough. But we're going to get a shot into the roof deck of that Tortoise and shut him down. And we finished that game with a nice total of 5.6k damage, 6 kills as well. I didn't realise that was for the Top Gun. 1300 assist, ace tanker, high caliber, Top Gun, 1754 base XP, and a really nice game for the Leopard 1, which is an absolutely fantastic tank. Honestly, it's well worth the grind. It's a very good line, and it's just an enjoyable thing to play in total. So as always, everybody, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.
A great success!